It was a quiet late afternoon in early November 2024, along a winding forest road in the northern mountains of Vietnam's Tuyên Quang Province. The air was crisp, the fading sunlight spilling through the thick canopy. A man was driving home from a neighboring village when something unusual caught his eye on the roadside. A large, unmoving shape half hidden behind the tall grass. Slowing his motorbike, he pulled over. Curiosity quickly turned to alarm. Lying there was a young, Asiatic black bear, known locally as Gao Angua. Its jet black fur matted with blood. The animal's chest rose and fell shallowly. Deep gashes ran across its flank. From the look of it, the bear had been struck by a vehicle and abandoned to die. Without hesitation, the man reached for his phone and called the nearest village. Within minutes, a small group of residents arrived, bringing a tarpaulin and a makeshift stretcher. Together, they carefully lifted the injured bear, loading it onto the back of a small truck. The nearest wildlife veterinary center was over 40 kilometers away, but there was no time to lose. By the time they arrived, dusk had turned to night. A team of veterinarians was already waiting. The bear's injuries were severe: multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and severe shock. It was touch and go, recalls Dr. Lon, one of the veterinarians. For the first 48 hours, we didn't know if it would survive. The staff named her Hope. In the weeks that followed, Hope began to respond to treatment for fluids, pain relief, specialized feeding, and constant monitoring. Slowly, her breathing steadied, her appetite returned, and her eyes began to hold a spark of life again. All this time, the man who had found her remained a quiet presence. He never gave his name to the press, never posed for photographs. Instead, he came to the center regularly, carrying baskets of ripe fruit, bananas, apples, and slices of jackfruit, and stood silently outside the treatment room. He never asked for anything, says Dr. Lon. He just wanted to see if she was getting better. Nearly 2 months after her rescue, Hope was strong enough to be moved to a semi-wild enclosure at a wildlife rescue station in a nearby nature reserve. Here, surrounded by trees, climbing structures, and the smells of the forest, she began to relearn her instincts: climbing, foraging, and exploring. But the visits continued. The man would sit for hours at the edge of the enclosure, quietly watching. Staff began to notice something remarkable. Whenever he arrived, Hope would perk up, sniff the air, and sometimes shuffle closer to the fence. The sound of his voice or the rustle of his fruit basket seemed to trigger an almost instant recognition. There's a silent understanding between them, says Mai, a keeper at the station. It's as if she knows exactly who saved her. That bond, forged in a moment of life and death, has become a quiet symbol of compassion and respect for nature in a region where wild animals often fall victim to neglect or exploitation. Conservationists hope the story will inspire more people to support rescue efforts and protect wildlife habitats. As for the man, he brushes aside any suggestion of heroism. She was in pain, he says simply. I just did what anyone should do. Today, Hope's story is told to visiting school children and tourists as a lesson in empathy and coexistence. And in her enclosure, under the watchful gaze of the man who once found her bleeding on the roadside, the young bear continues her second chance at life. Never forgotten, never alone.